Good afternoon. Is your career ruining your mental health? That is what I am going to be talking about today. My name is Camesha. I am the founder of Sista Afya. I am a recovering workaholic and burnout overcomer. Moving Beyond Burnout empowers Black women to cultivate self-awareness and to develop practical pathways to overcome burnout for good. So if you are joining me for the first time, please like this video. Please share this video with a woman that you know of who is struggling with their mental health in the workplace. And if you're on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. And if you're on LinkedIn and also on YouTube, please subscribe to my newsletter that I drop every 2 weeks, talking about various different issues related to burnout and how it's affecting so many of us. So let's get straight to it. So what to do if your career is ruining your mental health? I have been noticing this for a while. At my practice at Sista Afya, we have seen more and more Black women taking leave of absences, requesting short-term disability, FMLA, all because of how severely impacted their mental health has been regarding issues with their career and in the workplace, and things that are affecting their mental health outside of the workplace. So this topic isn't just, relating to this article that I'm going to talk about a little bit later, but I am seeing it in real time. So there's this Forbes article that I will tag in the description after this video that said that leave of absences for work is up 300%. So for those people who don't know, taking a leave of absence from work means that you are taking time away from work due to health-related issues, maybe family issues that are happening. But given that it has gone up even this year, I think it's twice the amount of leave of absences that people are taking away from work, is an indicator that people's mental health is really, really, really suffering right now. And there are many factors that I think contribute to that. But one of the things that the article mentioned were like toxic workplace cultures are what contributing to people taking leaves of absence. Also, I think the return to work is also really affecting people, especially women who were maybe managing different roles and responsibilities and experiencing more strain and just literally the demands of work. I have talked to people who said that they're getting more work than ever before. In addition to all the other things that are happening, we're in the middle of a recession, there's inflation, we have political turmoil. And this isn't an easy time right now for folks. And people are saying, hey, I need some relief, so I'm going to take time away from work. And so that is what's happening in the workforce right now. And I want to just talk about the industries that are most affected by burnout and that are experiencing the most leave of absences. If this is your career field, please drop it in the comments if you're in this career field. So the top 3 where people are experiencing burnout and taking leaves of absences are healthcare, social services, consulting, and project management. So I'm going to go into a little bit about why those industries are the most affected. So I'm in healthcare, I'm in mental health care, and I, as a social worker, have been in social services. One, sometimes the amount of work that you have to do in terms of mental, physical, and emotional labor is taxing in ways that aren't necessarily the case in other career fields. And then you have people's lives in some ways depending on what you provide to them. So it's a very high stakes, sensitive. A lot of labor goes into healthcare and social services. And then one of the other things is low pay. So you're doing all this work, working long hours, and maybe not being compensated. So there are many people in the healthcare field who take multiple jobs. So if you're taking multiple jobs, you're going to be more tired, more burned out, and just not feeling good about your work. Now, consulting and project management. If you are in this field, also be on guard. So, what makes project management and consulting vulnerable is that you have very long work hours and the demands of the projects and the consulting focus of your project. So it is very common, and I've seen this as well. People who, work for big consulting firms and they're doing these projects, or even if you're in the government doing project management, there's a lot of long hours, a lot of demands, and you have to deliver. So there's an intensity there. So I just want to put you all on notice that if you are in these career fields, you may already be experiencing burnout and your mental health could be affected, or you could be vulnerable given how the systems operate in these career fields. So I wanted to just put that on your radar. And then I'll also say that caregiving has tremendously impacted women. So women are the most affected and are choosing to take breaks and leaving the workforce. And a lot of it has to do with role strains. So being a caregiver, working this job, maybe working multiple jobs, dealing with toxic workplace challenges. These are all of the reasons why women are deciding to say, I'm taking a leave of absence, I'm taking a break, I cannot handle it anymore. And so with that, as I said at the beginning, I'm seeing more requests for leaves of absences for us to support some of our clients as therapists. And I think it's being felt across the field. But if you are a woman, you also could be, your mental health is more adversely affected in the workplace more than men. So I just want to give you all the landscape of like who's vulnerable, and how people's careers are ruining their mental health, and how things going on outside of the workplace are actually having such a negative impact. So I want to talk about what you can do if your career is affecting your mental health. I'm going to just take a little look at my notes because I want to make sure that I hit on all these points. If your career is impacting your mental health, please listen to these tips. One, I want you to evaluate what is contributing to challenges with your mental health, with depression, with anxiety, with stress, with trauma. What is happening in the workplace that's contributing to it, and then what's happening outside of the workplace that's contributing to your mental health declining. I am a big, as you all know, self-awareness person. So really being able to hone down, okay, what's happening here at work that's affecting my mental health, and what's happening outside of work. And that is one of the best starting points, because you can begin to take notice of how these things are showing up in your everyday life. The next is to decide if the career field that you are in is best for you. This is a really, really hard one, because a lot of people have gone to school, have put in hours to be in their career field. But what I have found is that once people get into their career field, they may find out that it's not the best fit for their well-being. It's not the best fit for their mental health. I'll just talk briefly about my experience. I'm a social worker. And when I went to graduate school, I was very interested in youth violence prevention. Like, I wanted to be a change agent in that field. But when I started working in youth violence prevention, it was too much for me mentally and emotionally, because I really cared about the kids that I worked with. And it hit me in a different way. And so I found out that youth violence prevention was not a good field for me to focus on in social work. So then I shifted to focusing on mental health, which still there can be intensity, but it just wasn't negatively impacting me as much as youth violence prevention. So I made a pivot. So I want you all to be open to the fact that you may be in a career field that you may have worked really hard for that may not be good for your well-being. Some ways that people pivot, are getting other certifications, talking to other people in other career fields. There are so many people who are doing entrepreneurship and different ways to pivot. But I want to be honest with you. Some of the things that we have a passion for may lead to burnout and can negatively impact our mental well-being. The next thing is to take advantage of mental health resources inside and outside of the workplace. There are many companies, and some don't as well, that provide some mental health and wellness benefits. So taking care of that, whether it's PTO, whether it's the employee assistance program, using your health insurance for therapy sessions or other gym memberships. There's some things that companies offer, but also looking outside of the workplace. What is in your community that you can take advantage of that provides care for you holistically? And then the last thing that I want to mention is caregiving. So looking at your options. There are so many Black women who are in caregiving roles, whether they're caring for their children or caring for their parents and have to show up at work. I'm actually seeing that happen firsthand in my family and how it really impacts you to be able to do well at work and how the strain is just really difficult over a period of time. So if you are a caregiver, looking at opportunities for you to get support and relief that can reduce the strain and the weight of what you're carrying in addition to what's happening at work. And there are some ways that you can, challenge your employers to say, hey, if I like my job, I want to be here, I want to do a good job, but this is what's happening and this is the support that I need. Human resources can sometimes be your help and also your enemy, but even sometimes going to human resources to say, hey, this is the situation I'm in. I can perform my job duties, but at this time, because of the caregiving roles, something has to change with my work schedule. So now I want to talk about what employers can do to promote well-being. So as I put, in the description, I have the vantage point of being an employee and also being an employer. And there are so many simple ways that we can promote well-being in the workplace so that people are not negatively affected. Their mental well-being is not negatively affected because of how our organizations are structured and the standards that we have. And then also that really just care about other people. So the first thing that I want to do is just to say, if you're an employer, practice emotional intelligence in listening and knowing the signs of mental distress. So there are Black women who have done a lot of work around emotional intelligence, such as Farah Harris, who talks a lot about the color of emotional intelligence. And so being able to develop that emotional intelligence to be in tune with how your employees are doing emotionally, picking up on signs. I encourage employers to even learn about like mental health first aid, like just knowing what a mental health crisis looks like and how that may show up in your employees. The other thing is to reevaluate company policies and standards that are causing barriers for people to be well. If people are working 60-hour work weeks, and it's not necessary, that is a barrier, right? Because it's taking up so many people's time and so many people's energy. So as an employer, looking at your job descriptions, looking at the roles, the responsibility, the procedures, the policies in your company, and if they are impeding not just, productivity, which everybody is always talking about, but if it is impeding people's well-being, you need to reevaluate it, period, point blank. Because people who are employees, they are real people. They're just not something to produce to produce outcomes for you. And then creating flexible opportunities for women who are wearing multiple hats. If you are, in management or if you have decision-making power, seeing where there can be flexibility, especially for women, because of our unique positionality. we need more flexibility. And we saw through the pandemic that work can be done in a more flexible format. So, offering hybrid opportunities or fully remote opportunities or time off to take care of caregiving specific needs, those things can really, really, really help women. And then lastly, just show appreciation and empathy for your employees. There are so many people who do not receive any appreciation for what they do in the midst of all these other situations that are impacting their lives. So just showing appreciation for the people that work for you, showing appreciation for what they contribute, showing appreciation just for who they are, it just goes such a long way. And showing empathy. I'm not saying that as an employer, you got to be somebody's therapist. That's not your role, but to at least show some level of empathy when people are struggling and working together collaboratively to create a plan so that that person can succeed and then you all can succeed collectively. So, this is what's happening in the workplace. So, I gave you all some tips about what you can do if your career is ruining your mental health. If you're an employer, what are some steps you can take? As I said, the landscape right now for mental well being in the workplace. Things have gotten worse. I would have thought that things would have gotten better over time, but from the articles that have come out over the past couple months, people are deciding to opt out of work or are opting just to take breaks because of what's happening inside and outside of the workplace. So, next week's topic, continuing to talk about career, is when your career becomes your identity. So, for all the people who are deeply connected to their work and their passion, and it is greatly connected to who you are as a person. This is the live stream you don't want to miss because I'm going to be talking about the challenges of when our career becomes so tied to our identity and how that can relate to burnout. So, as usual, you all join me Thursdays at 12 p.m. here on Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube for Moving Beyond Burnout. Every week, I'm going to try to come up with various different viewpoints that can really help you to overcome burnout and just to give you some things to chew on, some things to think about that can improve your mental well being. Thank you all so much for participating. And I also see some people on IG who have made some comments about ways that people can show appreciation to their employees and how that really resonates with folks. So I'll be talking a little bit more about career again, just from a different vantage point next week. So join me next week at 12 p.m. Central Time. Please like this video. Please share this video with a friend or with your networks for people who are struggling with this topic. And then if you are on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any updates, and subscribe to my newsletter that is in the description. So take care of all of you and be well.